Imagine a crowded room. Now imagine two men entering, one after the other. The first man enters, and nothing happens. He may be handsome, well-dressed. He may even smile and greet people. But his presence is like a stone dropped into a swamp. A small noise, and soon after, the silence of oblivion. He moves through the room, but doesn't affect it. He's a musical note lost in a symphony of noise. He's transparent. His energy takes up no space. Now, the second man enters. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't make a flamboyant gesture. But the air in the room changes. The frequency shifts. The side conversations lose momentum. As if the acoustics of the place had been recalibrated. The women's gazes, previously scattered, now have a target, guided by an invisible radar. They don't know why, but they feel it. They sense a center of gravity has just entered the room. This second man has no presence. He is presence. The question isn't which of these men you are today. The question is, did you know that the difference between them isn't luck, genetics, or status, but rather a code? A code that has been deliberately hidden from the masses. Until now, modern society has created a silent epidemic, the epidemic of diluted energy. We live in an age of noise, of infinite distraction. We're taught to seek external validation, to broadcast our lives in exchange for digital hearts, to consume cheap entertainment that fragments our focus into 1,000 pieces, to seek instant and fleeting pleasure at any cost, becoming slaves to our own impulses. Each of these acts is a small hole in our energy field, a leak, a subtle but constant hemorrhage, and the greatest of all leaks, the primary drain on male vitality and power, has been turned into a taboo subject, or worse, a joke. Sexual energy, the force that creates life, the atomic energy that resides within you, the so-called secret fire of the alchemists. The common man wastes it like dirty water, not realizing that he is throwing away his own alchemical gold. And in doing so, his presence becomes weak, his aura becomes porous, and his magnetism becomes null. He becomes energetically forgettable. He tries to compensate. He buys expensive clothes, memorizes catchphrases, adopts forced body language, and tries to project a confidence he doesn't possess. But energy doesn't lie. He may fool himself, but he can't fool the primal instincts of those observing him. Women in particular are like energetic tuning forks. They sense the dissonance. They sense the emptiness behind the mask. His gaze implores even as his lips smile. His posture apologizes even as his chest puffs out. He's a walking contradiction. This is the default state of the modern man, an empty shell, making a lot of noise to disguise how little he carries inside. But there is a law, a fundamental law of the universe that, when understood and applied, reverses this process. It doesn't just plug the leaks. It transforms the reservoir into an ocean of power. When we talk about the hidden code of attraction, we're not talking about seduction techniques. Forget that. That's for boys. We're not talking about psychological tricks. This is for weak manipulators. The hidden code is a law of energy physics. It's the science behind presence, the mathematics of magnetism. And it was hidden by mystery schools, from Gnostics to alchemists, not out of malice, but because its power is so transformative that it could destabilize the unprepared. Knowledge that isn't acquired through discipline becomes poison. That's why the masters didn't deny it, but protected it. Seminal retention, which we discuss on this channel, isn't the code itself. Retention is the key that gives you access to the room where the code is written. Many men take the key and open the door, but never learn to read what's on the wall. Today, we will decipher the three fundamental principles of this law. The three truths that, once activated, transform a man from a dim bulb into a magnetic sun. The first principle is the law of energy density. Think of carbon. Under pressure and time, its atoms rearrange themselves. The same element that forms a piece of coal, fragile and opaque, transforms into a diamond, the hardest and most brilliant substance on Earth. The composition is the same. Density is everything. The common man who wastes his vital energy is in the presence of coal. It is there, but it exerts no force on the environment. It reflects no light. The man who retains and transmutes his sexual energy begins a process of internal pressurization. Energy that would otherwise be expelled is reabsorbed and refined by the body. The nervous system, glands, blood, Everything becomes saturated with this high-octane energy. Physically, you can feel this as a subtle warmth at the base of your spine, a feeling of being more rooted to the ground. Your voice, as we've seen, gains new resonances. Your physical presence literally gains weight, not on the scale, but in your energetic field. People feel like you take up more space than your physical body suggests. Your aura, once a thin mist, becomes dense, almost palpable. The ancients described legendary kings and warriors as men of heavy presence, whose mere entry into a war tent silenced generals. It wasn't about physical size, it was about energetic density. This is why the second man in our early history was noticed doing nothing. His energetic mass was so dense that it naturally warped the fabric of social space-time around him. The practice of retention is what initiates this process. Each day you retain, you are not just saving, you are densifying, you're transforming from a glass of water into a personal ocean. People aren't attracted to you, they're pulled by your gravity. The second principle is counterintuitive and therefore so powerful, the law of the vacuum attractor. Think about atmospheric pressure. Air always moves from an area of high pressure to one of low pressure. It's a fundamental, inevitable law. A person living in a state of diluted energy is constantly projecting their neediness onto the world. They seek attention, approval, and validation. In conversation, they talk too much, agree too much, and laugh too loudly. Energetically, they are a high-pressure zone, pushing their neediness onto others. And the natural reaction to being pushed is to retreat. The man who masters the hidden code does the opposite. By retaining his vital energy, he becomes self-sufficient. He needs nothing from anyone. His well-being, his confidence, his strength come from within, from his own inner source, which he protects like a treasure. He feels comfortable in silence. He is in no rush to respond. He listens more than he speaks. By stopping pushing your energy outward, it becomes a low-pressure zone. It creates an energetic vacuum around you. It becomes a center of calm, of contained power, and this is where the magic happens. People accustomed to the high pressure of others' needs find an oasis in it. They are instinctively drawn into this vacuum. In conversation, they begin to talk more, to reveal themselves, trying to fill the comfortable space he creates. They lean in to listen, seek his gaze, feel an irresistible curiosity. Why isn't he trying to impress me? Why does he seem so complete? He doesn't pursue. He attracts, he doesn't seek, he is sought. He masters the art of being a void, and the universe, in its wisdom, rushes to fill it with opportunities, respect, and yes, attraction. The third principle is the most subtle and profound, the law of silent resonance. Think of a lighthouse. It doesn't shout at ships. It doesn't fire rockets. It doesn't chase after lost vessels. It simply exists, anchored to its rock, and emits a powerful, coherent, and silent beam of light. And because of its constancy and power, ships miles away find their bearings, feel safe, and find their way. The common man emits a chaotic signal, like the light of a candle flickering in the wind. Anxiety about the future, regret about the past, need in the present. Their inner light is weak and fickle. The person who lives the hidden code, with their dense and contained vital energy, calms this internal storm. Their accumulated energy nourishes and stabilizes their nervous system. Their internal frequency becomes coherent, stable, and powerful. Like the beam of light from a lighthouse, you don't need to advertise this state. It resonates. People around you pick up on this frequency subconsciously. Their limbic system, the most primitive part of the brain, recognizes your signal of calm and power. In the presence of your coherence, their anxiety diminishes. In the presence of his quiet certainty, their doubts are stilled. They feel inexplicably safe in his presence. That's why the words of such a man carry more weight. That's why his silence is more communicative than the speech of 1,000 empty men. He's not just talking, he's resonating. And the world around him, by a fundamental law of physics, begins to vibrate in harmony with him. The attraction he generates isn't about appearance, it's about resonance. Women aren't attracted by what they see, they're attracted by what they feel in his presence. They feel security, power, mystery, all communicated through the silence of his inner frequency. Energy density gives you gravitas. The vacuum attractor gives you space. Silent resonance gives you influence. Together, these three principles form the hidden code of magnetism. They are not techniques to be used. They are natural consequences of an internal discipline. Seminal retention is the practice that opens the door. It's the act of saying no to waste so you can say yes to this transformation. It's the fuel that fuels the alchemical furnace, but the real work comes later. It's the work of watching your energy thicken, of cultivating your vacuum of self-sufficiency, and of tuning your inner resonance to a frequency of power. This is the path that separates the men who pass through life from the men whom life begins to follow. The choice, as always, is yours. You can close this video and continue being the glass of water, or you can decide to become the ocean. Before you make your decision, understand what the transmutator is. This is not an entertainment channel. This is an inner circle, a laboratory for those tired of mediocrity and seeking knowledge that has been deliberately hidden. Enrolling here isn't just a matter of pressing a button. It's an act of commitment to your own evolution. It's your silent declaration that you've chosen the difficult path, the path of genuine power. If you're ready to stop leaking energy and start building your personal gravity, then join this circle. Subscribe and turn on notifications, as the knowledge we share here isn't for everyone. Now, your first act of discipline. In the comments, I don't want you to say if you liked the video. That's external validation, and we're past that stage. I want you to write, the law that resonated most was, and complete with density, vacuum or resonance, explaining in a single sentence why. Your comment is your record, your proof that you not only watched but understood. The deeper answers will be fixed as inspiration for all other men on this path. Remember, energy doesn't lie. Continue the transmutation,